It is party time, Mom. Welcome to another episode of the Chad Prather Show. I'm getting caught up on all kind of things right now. We are here in Studio 22, the mothership. Puppet Master Mark is at the helm, driving us into the nether regions. And, of course, Candice, the queen of the Ethiopians, where publicly I just have to say, first of all, thank you to both of you guys. But Candice, you work so hard to make sure not only that I stay on track and that I say the things that should be said. I don't always obey the rules. But Candice, thank you for working on as hard as you do to get the guests we get. And let me tell you, this show, the Chad Prather Show, is a team effort. It has my name on it, but it's a team effort. And everybody from Hot News Natalie, Party Foul Steve, everybody that joined, Sarah Gonzalez, you guys, it's fantastic to just watch this thing grow. So I have to give you credit on that today. And I give all credit to Candice for this today. Our special guest is Alex Jones. That's like a dream come true for you, huh?
It is. I'm living out a lot of dreams all at the same time. I'm having to keep my blood pressure in check.
And I know what people think. People hear the name Alex Jones and they're like, okay, what are you going to talk about? Are you going to do this conspiracy? You're going to... No. It bugs me. It bugs me when it happens to me. It bugs me when it happens to other people. Whenever people are taken out of context and they make you say something that you didn't say, or they don't give you the opportunity. Today we're going to talk about that. Alex has a ton of ideas that are out there, some things that will truly make you think about it. We're going to talk about this coronavirus craziness that's going on. We're going to tie it into some things that have been in the news. And at least that's what I want to do with Alex. I want to see if we could tie some of the things that are happening today into some of the things that we've talked about in the past. Is there a connection between coronavirus and, let's say, the death of Jeffrey Epstein? Is there a tie between coronavirus and climate change? Remember climate change, those things? There's so many things that are out there. And at the end of the day, for those of you new, I don't know how you could be living under that rock, but if you are new to Alex Jones and, of course, InfoWars, you'll get to know the man himself, and you'll have an opportunity to hear his very own words. So we're going to have fun with Alex Jones. I want to encourage everybody, before we get into today's chat, go to watchchad.com and find my tour dates. I'm going to be in Casper, Wyoming this Thursday night. That is on the 20th. I am going to be at Fort Worth, Texas, at Billy Bob's, Texas, there in the Fort Worth Stockyards. Still tickets available for that show Sunday night, the 23rd. So come out there and hang out with us. Next week, Liberty Township, Ohio. Come see us there. Then we're moving all over the country. Going to be in College Station, going to be in New Braunfels for 3 nights, right there in the heart of Texas there at the Hill Country. And we're going to be in places like Kansas City and Omaha, Nebraska, and various other cities that are going to be announced very soon. We're excited to be back out on the road. Had a blast this past week in Florida, and all of the cities have been good to us. Oklahoma City, Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, various and sundry places like Mesa, Arizona. We love it. So thank you guys for supporting us. Thank you for growing this podcast. Go to where podcasts are offered, okay? And I need you to rate, review, and more importantly, I need you to share. Share the audio versions, share the YouTube versions, and guess what? We're now on a new channel, a new number. They're on Pluto TV. We're channel 238. So if you've got it saved at 250, move on down to 238. Wildly popular on there, and we're excited about the days ahead, especially when it comes to the Chad Prather Show here on The Blaze. 2020 has reminded us about the importance of self-reliance. We've seen COVID and civil unrest bring out the absolute worst in people. And the fact is, the police can't be everywhere all at once. That's why it's so important that you need to be properly trained if you're a gun owner. Well, iTarget Pro is one of the best ways to dry fire train with your gun at home using their proprietary app and their laser bullet. It's convenient, it's safe, it's going to save you a ton of money on ammunition, plus you don't need to wear a mask to use it. How about that? Dry fire training is going to help you develop muscle memory. It's going to help with target reaction, speed, sight alignment, trigger function, and a whole lot more. iTarget comes in all the major calibers, including .223 and .556, so you can stay sharp with almost any firearm you own. Right now, I'll get you 10% off plus free shipping with the offer code CHAD, C-H-A-D. So don't let circumstances dictate whether or not you're going to train. Take back control with iTarget Pro. That's the letter I, targetpro.com. Go to itargetpro.com and use offer code CHAD. We'll be back in just a moment with our friend Alex Jones. Welcome back, everybody. As we have been talking about a much anticipated conversation with our friend Alex Jones, joining us from his studios there at InfoWars there in Austin. How are you, man?
Good to be here, brother. A fan of yours. You'll probably get in trouble with me saying that, but hell, we're all being canceled in the new culture. So it's great to be here with you, whether this is the twilight of America or the new dawn. It's just good to be here with you.
Well, I think we should have that conversation. And a good friend of mine used to say all the time, he said, the thing about us is we're either going to hang separately or hang together. One way or another, we might as well stick in this thing together regardless. Because you're right, with too many people being canceled and too many things are going on. How are things going for you guys right now with the Twitter nonsense and the other social media nonsense? What's the game plan for you guys?
Well, we got banned the biggest and up front as the beta test. First, they demonized us. Then I knew we were going to get banned. I said, folks, we're important, but not this important. They're demonizing us with thousands of articles syndicated every few months, hundreds and hundreds of TV programs, dozens of national shows, lying about us, editing tapes, misrepresenting. And I said, we're not this important. They want to make the debate about censorship about us. They're demonizing us. And then after we're banned off everything, they're going to move against everybody now of the president. And I said 2 years ago, I said, by the time the election rolls around, they will start banning tweets of the president. And sure enough, they did it. And so I knew that I was just picked as the beta test of all of this. So we already had our own radio stations, even though talk radio's declined some, people still listen to it. We've got some TV stations, and we have our own big audience at band.video and Infowars.com. And so really being persecuted like this has made our hardcore audience bigger and in many ways the show more successful. Now, do we get Facebook videos with 30 million, 20 million views every week? No. But the big steady audience just at band.video on average is about 5 million people a day come to the site. That's not clicks. That's 5 million IPs. And Infowars and Newswars.com another 2 million or so a day. And on the radio stations never had ratings higher. Quite frankly, everything we've talked about is now coming out in the open. We were just going off CFR documents, UN documents. We knew they were going to try this stuff. I never thought they'd actually start getting it done. I said, hey, this is their plan. They're now trying to rush the whole thing. So actually, Infowars has gone from being with hardcore Christians and patriots, very, very popular, very positive. But on the general internet, I was a joke. And I went along with it, thought it was fun. I like to make fun of myself. Some of the stuff I do is kind of silly. But now it's like 90% positive. Now it's kind of like outlaw country, folk hero. I'm not bragging, but I'm where Waylon Jennings and Chris Christopherson and all those guys were back in the 70s, but for real, because they're trying to put me in prison. They're not just playing me on the radio because I talk about how I like to have women I never had.
Yeah, it's one thing when you get called an outlaw or claim to be an outlaw, but when you're living an outlaw lifestyle, it's a whole other deal. And if you change, I'm going to be pissed off, Alex. Don't you ever change. I don't want you to change a single thing about what you're doing. I was at CPAC this year, and I look across the room, and here you come walking through there, and people are mobbing you just all over you, trying to get a little piece of that. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly the way it needs to be right there. Because my thinking, Alex, is this. You have a right to think and say whatever you want to think and say. It's a damn shame that these social media outlets are going to come out here and try to squash us. But you know what I think is happening, and I think you alluded to it right there with the numbers. I think that regardless of the powers that be that are out there, I think you're going to keep getting bigger, keep getting stronger. People are going to find a way to watch you and listen to you, and it does nothing but increase the brand. Two things. First, do you feel like it is that we can almost write the script at this point of what's going to happen? And two, do you feel like that is accurate? Like it gets to a point where it's an unstoppable momentum.
Well, exactly. And I want to be clear. All glory goes to God. I'm not on a power trip. I'm the opposite. I didn't think all this up. I just knew what they were doing. And it was rough the first 6 months, the first year we were banned. Our revenue went down by about half, but our core audience went up. I wasn't judging it by dollars. I was like, I got a job. I'm going to keep telling the truth. But holding on and then kind of going through that process, now I kind of pinch myself because people ask, well, how are you doing? People come up and pat me on the back, man, it must be rough what they've done to you. And I'm like, they lie about the president all day. They lie about everybody all day. I mean, they're a pack of liars. If my daddy or my mama or my cousins were mad at me, I would be really upset because they'd come to my house and kick my ass if I did something wrong. But they're not doing that. My mom is a great lady, but she, for a long time, thought I was out of control and thought I might be too extreme. Now my mother is 100% behind me and has researched everything, and she now knows what's going on. And I mean, that's just an example. My mother's a quiet lady, doesn't want to be in the spotlight, doesn't want to be out there, doesn't want me to be there. But now she's like, I'm proud of you. You go fight them. You go all the way. And I think it's because, like you said, we can write the script of authoritarianism. We know these tyrants have no bottom. And we know the Chi-Coms are funding this whole thing. And so we're just freaked out that more Americans don't realize the country is fighting for its life. And so we know we're doing the right thing. And we just hope we can save the country. And I just feel sorry. Like you say in Texas or Tennessee or anywhere, God bless these people, because they really don't know that they're destroying their whole safety net and their whole future because they've been taught this country's bad and have no idea it's one of the greatest nations this planet's ever seen.
What do you think about all of this stuff that's going on with the influx of people from, say, California, the Elon Musks, even our mutual Joe Rogan has decided to come to Austin? A lot of this influx of California coming into Texas. How is that indicative of what you think is going on in the rest of the United States of kind of that watering everything down?
Has Joe finally announced he's coming to Austin?
Yeah, he's coming. He said he's coming the end of the month.
Well, no, I mean, he told me 3 months ago he was getting a house, moved to Austin. He's been in Austin most of the time. He said, don't say it. I've got to announce it. So he finally said he's coming to Austin.
Finally he said it. Yeah, he said he was bouncing. So, that's his term. It's all in how you interpret the word. I'm going to bounce at the end of the month. Say that again?
No, man, he lives down the street. Yeah, it's crazy. But I just didn't know I could get to that yet. Yeah, I'm going to be doing some stuff with Joe next month. I'm going to leave it at that. But I'm very excited. Yeah, he's getting here so he did say when he's moving here, right? He's moving here at the end of the month.
That's what he said.
Well, good. I just didn't know that was out yet, so I can talk about it now. Yeah.
We'll find out soon enough.
Exactly. Well, he just asked me not to say, but now that's out, I'll say, yeah, he's moving to Austin. He's already here, actually. Already bought a house, but the family's moving out next week. Mm-hmm. But Joe is a good, open-hearted guy, so he wants to be friendly. He wants to bring people together. He's a peacemaker. And so, but no, he's privately totally gets what's going on, and now more and more it's going public. Elon Musk, says he's a patriot. I want to believe him. He's building a factory outside Austin by the airport. I know he's already moved here. He's made his real base here, actually north of Austin. He's got a helicopter and everything. So, while I live in the city, he lives north of Austin. And so, yeah, there's a giant exodus. But so many of the people that are emptying out of L.A., emptying out of Michigan, emptying out of New York, emptying out of all these leftist areas, New Jersey, they are bringing it with them. And Austin was one of the best places in the country just to live 2 years ago. Now, I would advise people to live in the suburbs but get nowhere near Austin. It's as bad as most of LA now.
Yeah.
And so I think you just said it. These people are so disconnected from reality. They come here and they bring all of their thinking with them like locusts that go from field to field. So yeah, I'm really, really worried about it.
It's a crazy thing. And you're right. With the erasure of history nationwide, with the watering down of so many of things that we have looked as conservative bastions, whether it's Texas or whatever. And I said this 6 months ago. I said they won't have debates, or at least they'll fight having presidential debates. I said if they do have the debates, they'll accuse the president of elder abuse. They'll do everything they can to avoid all of that. And with that situation going on, that is the script that can be written. Unfortunately, if that script continues being written the way that I think that it is, it's not going to be a happy ending for anybody. What's your anticipation as we move through 2020 and let's say Joe Biden gets elected? Does COVID disappear? Does the country just go to pure shit at that point? Where are we at as a country? How serious is this?
I would love to believe that if we had the bad news that Biden got in, at least they would stop the COVID hoax, because they're obviously using it to try to get rid of Trump. But they've said, and Gates has said, oh no, we want power, we want control. Governments want power and control. And so they've said it basically never ends. And if you want to get on a plane or have a job, you've got to have these inoculations, which they admit don't even protect you. And so if Joe Biden gets in, he steps down within 6 months, has a stroke or something, they're going to claim Kamala Harris, who the establishment really wants, only polled at 1%, during the primaries, but still the establishment wants her because she's so heartless and so evil, and she will California the entire United States. So I hate to even imagine if Biden gets in. But, even if Trump gets in, the people that run Biden control the blue states, the blue cities. They control the UN, they control the EU, they control the Chi-Coms, they control Hollywood. So I sit here and I get mad at Trump and say, do this, do that, when actually he's doing way better than I could ever do at 74, better than I could do at 46. And he's so surrounded, it really comes down to what we're going to do to start saying no and just calling this fraud out. Because really, it's about calling the fraud out. It's about exposing the whole thing. Fauci said 2.5 million would die, then 2.2 million. Now they say 160,000, but they count all these other deaths. There's a lot of bad pneumonias. There's a lot of real stuff out there, and people die. Yeah. So they can create a phobia over the normal deaths that happen and get us to never leave our houses again. They've won. And the UN says, we want a post-industrial world. We want to cut the carbon footprint. We want to end capitalism. Well, that's what they're doing right now. Yeah. But during this, the middle class is dying, but the billionaires, except Trump, are all getting richer, and they're all getting bailout money because they're consolidating and vertically integrating the economy while the grassroots die. So this is really a do or die moment for everybody to get out of that comfort zone and realize we're not in Kansas anymore.
And I hope people don't miss what you just said, because it's very profound. They're taking the deaths that are already going to happen, and they're making them COVID deaths. They're making them coronavirus deaths. And my fear is, do you think Trump is casting a big enough vision? He did in 2015 and 16. Do you think he's casting a big enough vision right now with everything else that's going on, or have they shut that down?
That's a good way to say it. I've been trying to think what's wrong with Trump is they've told him to be presidential, which I get, but we want a firebrand like this. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to be so conciliatory and so nice and not take the bait. No, we're pissed. We want to be let out of this. We want him pissed. We want him unscripted, and we want him on the offense. Yeah. And so, I don't think he has that same 2016 spirit when they're all over the news. They say, hey, do you know about Kamala Harris' parents not being born here? Maybe she's not eligible. He goes, I know that was a real article, Newsweek, prestigious lawyer. I don't know if it's true. They turn that into he hates Kamala, says she can't be president, and he needs to be removed, 25th Amendment. It's so insulting to Americans that when Maxine Waters covered that on the news and called for him to be removed, they didn't play the clip. I mean, Americans need to get angry because if I'm going to say something about somebody, I'm going to show them the clip. And that's what you do. That's what all the shows do. That's what conservatives and nationalists and patriots do. I'm not going to tell you Maxine Waters said, go out and harass people at gas stations and restaurants and grocery stores and go to their houses. I'm going to play you the clip. They'll say Maxine Waters said, blow up everybody's houses, and then not show the clip. Well, she didn't say blow up everybody's houses. So again, they're just lying and lying and lying, and they never get in trouble for it. They always double down. And at a certain point, that continuum gets to the point where they're saying officially, all the Democrat surrogates, the Speaker of the House, Pelosi, says she's second in command. That's not true. It's Pence. And the talking point is, if Trump challenges our fraudulent election, we're going to call for him to be removed. Well, now they've got mail-in ballots. Now they've got cats that died 10 years ago getting mail-in ballots. That's confirmed. Yeah. And dead people. And they're finding up to 20% are dead people now voting. The fraud's happening. And if Trump challenges that, he needs to be overthrown and removed with the 25th Amendment. And they're saying the states are going to secede. The Democrats have announced this. They're going to challenge the election and have their own inauguration. Pelosi says. She said that on national TV, and it wasn't even a big story. So They failed in Russiagate hoax. They failed in Ukrainegate hoax. They failed the race war stuff. So now they're saying the states, Democrats are going to secede again, and we're going to have a new civil war.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah. We're with Alex Jones. I got 1,000 questions. I'm going to ask them when we come back. But, hey, when you're running a business, HR issues are going to kill you. They're going to tear you up. You got wrongful termination suits, minimum wage requirements, labor regulations, HR managed salaries. They're not cheap these days. Listen, average of $70,000 a year. Bambee, B-A-M-B-E-E, was created specifically for small business. You can get a dedicated HR manager, craft HR policy, and you can maintain your compliance all for just $99 a month. With Bambee, you can change HR from your biggest liability to your biggest strength. Your dedicated HR manager is available by phone, email, or real-time chat. From onboarding to terminations, they're going to be there for you to customize your policies to fit your business and help you manage your employees day to day, all for just $99 a month. You can do month to month. You can cancel anytime. There's no hidden fees. You didn't start a business because you wanted to spend all of your time on HR compliance, so let Bambee help. Get your free HR audit today. Go to Bambee.com/Chad right now. Schedule your free HR audit. That's BAMBEE.com/Chad. Bambee.com/Chad, and we'll be right back. You know, talking to Alex Jones, Alex, when you're sitting there and you're looking at a situation like I saw your video the other day, you go out to Barton Springs, they got the thing shut down. We're seeing that across the board, every place you try to go, whether it's a mask you got to put on or you got to take reservations to get in some place that normally has been open to the public. This is insane. What's the end game with this thing? I mean, what in the world is going on when people need to exert this kind of control? Do you think it's bigger than an election, or is it just all about that?
It's 100% bigger than the election. That's a great point. If you look at the Rockefeller Foundation plan called Lockstep 2010, they said, it actually says it. It's only a 5-page document online, the synopsis, a couple hundred pages long. I've actually read the whole thing. Yeah. You're reading it, and it's like Lex Luthor is admitting his plan against Superman and, America or whatever. It says, we're going to bring in a planetary corporate regime using a virus or the threat of a virus. We're going to lock civilization down, and we're going to train people to accept authoritarianism, the snitch society, wearing masks, all this. That was in 2010. Then in October, November, they have a tabletop exercise by the UN, John Hopkins, and Bill and Melinda Gates for what they called Event 201 for what then launched a few months later. And so they always had this plan on the shelf. They said they'd bring in world government and a worldwide police state, their words, not mine. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean cops, folks. That means police state control over everybody and a global social credit score. And so if you look at all the authoritarian boxes you could check off, from a cashless society, surveillance society, global social score, getting rid of cash, locking people down, martial law, getting neighbors not to trust each other, killing small businesses, getting people into debt, quote, lowering the carbon footprint. It just means getting rid of the first world, making us poor, controllable slaves. That's how governments really control people, is making them poor. The American system is empower people, Renaissance, build the stars. This is a real attack on Western civilization, on the ethos of the Renaissance. And so you go to Whole Foods, they got, how to be austere, how to be poor, how it's cool. They've built up this idea, but the billionaires running it all, they're having parties. They're flying around on private jets. It's in the news. They ignore it all. They're building a two-tiered system, and that's what COVID is all about. So they had this on the shelf. They were planning to roll this out with Hillary. It's a real virus. It's man-made. It's not that deadly, but it spreads really good. It kills people that are vitamin and nutrient deficient. I'm kind of ranting here, but they needed to have a chimera that was a new cold virus so it could be patented so certain companies could profit. They've already been testing it and already making vaccines for animals and humans for this for more than a decade. And that's, people can look that up, that Bill Gates has 4 patented coronavirus bat chimera virus vaccines already approved for animals years ago at Wuhan, because it was made illegal. The scientists all freaked out. You can look this up, folks, 2015. By the way, Eric Bolling was going to have his big syndicated show. It's big as Fox, but it's on TV stations. Sinclair was going to have a whistleblower on about this, who's an accredited doctor who exposed Fauci. And they killed the special a month ago. But it's in Newsweek that Fauci funded 11 programs at the Wuhan lab with coronavirus bat viruses. It was in New Scientist that Obama was transferring it to that lab because the U.S. made a big deal about it and made it illegal to do it here. So they were doing all this illegally at Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and Obama and Fauci moved it there and did it. Now, do I know what happened? Do I know the bottom of the rabbit hole? No, I'll be honest. I don't know what's going on. I just know the Germans and the Indians and the Australians and everybody scanned the virus with CRISPR electron microscope readers, and they said this is a manufactured virus with 5 viruses combined together. So it's kind of like a nightmare Easter egg.
Yeah.
In that it keeps on opening up, it keeps doing weird stuff. It's a real virus, but it doesn't kill the numbers they say. It kills old people and those that are debilitated. But it's owned, and it's a new virus. Even Time Magazine and even the New York Times said, is COVID an alien? And not from a flying saucer. It's alien because it's 5 different viruses together from different families that never existed before, made in a laboratory.
And I don't disagree with a single word you just said. And that's the thing that frustrates me, Alex, is you say something like that I think is gospel truth. I think it's gospel truth. It can be researched. It can be found. You can look it up. And people get so lost in the other stuff that's out there, and they think, oh, well, and they totally start to disregard the voices like your own. People who have something so significant to say that I think can be verified and backed up over and over again, and they get lost so deep in the weeds of this other stuff that's out there. Well,
here's a quick example, just a real quick example.
Yeah.
They say Donald Trump says he hates all Mexicans and they're all criminals. There's no video of that. He said during the campaign, hey, we got a lot of criminals coming across the border. We need to control it. Same thing with me. They'll take stuff I've done where I'll go, well, I'll play devil's advocate. I used to go, well, I'd say I see on this hand, I see on that hand. Sometimes I do 3 or 4 views. I've actually censored myself now where I won't do devil's advocate because they will take where I say I can see how people think Christians are bad because a lot of them get in your face and are arrogant and don't follow the gospel. And I understand how I can see how people are angry at Christians. They'll take that clip out where I'm attacking Christians and I'm not. And so I've gotten to the point where I just make my statements and I don't play devil's advocates because they do that and it's so deceptive.
Yeah.
So people need to know that when you see some edited tape and like it's jumping around, like Megyn Kelly came to town 3 years ago when she said, I promise it's not about Sandy Hook, because I barely ever covered that. The internet didn't think it happened. I said later I thought it happened. They made that my identity because, put Alex Jones against dead kids. Dead kids win. I believe they died. I'm sad about it. I've said it for 5 years. She comes to town, and I go, I think Sandy Hook happened. You promised you wouldn't bring up Sandy Hook. You said it was about, she goes, well, tell me about your theories. And she tricked me to say why I questioned it when other people questioned it. I just covered what they did, barely ever covered it, was not a big part of what I did.
Yeah.
They sued me off of her edits. And if you watch the show, it's jumping from her to me every 2 seconds because it's like that. It's like that game on a refrigerator where you take the words and move them around. I could take the Bible and trim out words out of it and have it say Jesus loves Satan. It's not true. So that's what and so now if that ever gets to court, we've been blocking it because it's fraudulent. We're going to sue her. We're going to get the raw tapes from NBC. We're going to show the jury NBC saying I said Sandy Hook didn't happen in 2018 when I did say it happened on video. So the level of it's like Katie Couric got sued. She goes, tell me an example of the Second Amendment saving people. They give examples. She cut to another question going, I don't know. She got sued. She lost that suit last time I checked. Yeah. So what I'm saying is these people are so deceptive, folks, that it's hard to believe.
And it's true because at the end of the day, they want what's going to, in essence, sell. I mean, I threw in a bid for governor when I was so pissed off with Greg Abbott with this thing, and I can't tell you. I mean, the smear that comes out of things that they twist out of there. I mean, you could go to the Psalms.
Chad wants everybody to die of COVID.
Everybody's supposed to die of COVID, and wants your kids to die and the whole thing. If I take the verse of the Bible that says the fool has said in his heart there is no God, I could pull it out of context and say Bible says there is no God. So that's the whole thing. That is the ploy that people use, right? And that's the
I'm
thing.
going to steal that
insane.
example. That's better than my long description of the refrigerator magnets. Exactly. God has said,
the fool has
what's the
said in his
quote?
heart, there's
the
no
fool
God.
has said his heart.
Yeah, that's it. It's Psalm 14, I believe. And it says, hey, look, the Bible says there's no God. So if you pull that out of context and say it, does it say it? Yeah, in black and white. It's right there. It says it. So that is the thing, and people fail to see that. It's so adamant. I'm so adamant with people when I say, you got to research this stuff. And don't say, I heard somebody say this, or I heard it with my own ears, when you know good and well you're lying about it. That's why it's so important. Voices like yours. It really bugs me, Alex, to see the censorship that happens. It shouldn't bug me because I should expect it. At this point, I've always said I want to punch and kiss Mark Zuckerberg in the mouth. There's a love-hate.
Well, that's the key to this is they don't just take you off Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Apple. Then they go on there and they say the most outrageous lies and you can't counter it.
Yeah.
You don't get a response back. But then people come up and they say, hey, I heard you or this person said that. But they go, I noticed they didn't show it. That's the key. They'll have all these articles. They had one last week out, a bunch of them, saying, Alex Jones said, kill Democrats as many as you can. And I said, hey, did you notice from Right Wing Watch and Media Matters and George Soros and all this place, was there video? And they go, no, there wasn't. I go, because I didn't say that. I said, if the Democrats come to burn your house down and kill you, which they say they're going to do now, I don't want to kill anybody, but if you attack me and my family at my house, I will kill as many of the people attacking me as I can to protect my family. That isn't, I'm going to kill Democrats randomly.
Right. I mean, Joe Biden said, he told Jill, just fire a few blasts through the door, right? I mean, that's what you do when somebody that you don't know comes to your front door. Joe Biden said that, so.
Well, yeah, he said, you don't need an M4. You don't need an AR-15.
Yeah.
Just get a shotgun and just shoot just shoot them.
Yeah, just blast right through the door. That's the thing. We're hanging
That's
out
another subject. Joe Biden is on another planet.
He is on another planet. We're going to get into that. There's a couple of things that I think there are connections there. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm going to ask you a couple of questions in a moment, Alex, and I think you're going to help me connect some dots here because I'm getting real curious about a few different things. Listen, folks, before we go to break, have you noticed your hair isn't looking as full as it used to? I know, losing your hair sucks. It's no fun, so I'm going to talk to you about a couple of options. I can send you to the doctor. You get a hair loss treatment prescription. You're going to go to the pharmacy, and you're going to choke because it's going to make you go broke with how expensive it is just trying to avoid going bald. But what I want to recommend you do is try Keeps from the comfort of your own home. You're going to get the same doctor-approved hair loss treatment, but Keeps is going to offer the generic versions for about half the cost. And one more thing you'll love about Keeps, it's all online. You just answer a few questions, snap a couple of pictures of your hair, and a licensed doctor is going to review your info, recommend the right hair loss treatment for you, and then it's going to be shipped directly and discreetly to your door. So don't make unnecessary trips to the doctor and the drugstore when you can do it all from your home. So let me get you started with this deal. All right, Keeps, KEEPS.com/loss. It's going to give you 50% off your first order. Keeps hair loss treatments, 50% off. Go to Keeps.com/loss, Keeps.com/loss, and we will be right back. Alex, you remember climate change and Greta Thunberg and all of that stuff that was going on? That is so yesterday. The Me Too movement, so 2019. I mean, we've forgotten all of those things. It's all gone now.
Well, those were all the failed scams to make us fight with each other and bring in world government carbon taxes. But now they just shut society down with COVID-19, and they admit that's going to shut down our, quote, carbon footprint and save the Earth. But the truth is, Earth has water, sunlight, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Those are the four things that are in the carbon cycle, and we're carbon-based. So when the UN says we got to control carbon, they want to track and trace and tax all life, not just human on Earth. But that all failed. So now they brought in their global pandemic lockdown, which they are admitting, I can send you all the articles, is their world government takeover. So just like all those other things failed, I believe this will fail as well if we expose it.
Yeah. How does Jeffrey Epstein fit into this whole thing? It's somewhere in there. I mean, that thing just happened too conveniently right in the middle of it. And then the Ghislaine Maxwell thing came along. Have you tried to draw the connection there?
Oh, we know. I mean, I exposed him 15 years ago because the Wall Street Journal, the London Guardian, and others just typed this in: billionaires meet in secret to solve overpopulation. And then it was Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Ted Turner, a whole bunch of other people, David Rockefeller, Oprah Winfrey. But the manager of it was Jeffrey Epstein. So that was the first time I saw his name. And then I knew he was setting up this global government to carry out depopulation. Because they said it. I mean, actually say, oh, aren't they heroes? They're setting up an alternate world government because governments aren't doing enough. And I've got like galas with Bill Gates getting awards for like, Bill Gates will depopulate even though government won't. Yay, Bill Gates. I mean, you can type that in. It's insane. And so they set all this up, and then he got busted like 12 years ago for the pedophile stuff in Florida. That was a slap on the wrist. So he was on my radar. He was blackmailing scientists and people, taking them to the island, taking them to New York, taking them to Paris, where you could go take drugs, have sex with, underage girls, whatever. And a lot of the scientists wanted to get in the club and wanted to get all that big money that was coming through from Harvard and Gates and everybody else through Epstein. So Epstein was mainly like the bag man. And the people knew they were being recorded. They knew there were cameras. They were like, I want the club, like a gang initiation for, the white supremacist kill an innocent black man, or for the Mexican mafia rob a liquor store, shoot an old lady, or, MS-13, you got to like torture a kid to death to get in the higher levels of the gang. That's on record, folks. Well, the gang initiation of the New World Order is have sex with a 12-year-old girl, and then they videotape you, and then they believe they can trust you. And so they had guys lined up around the block and women. Ghislaine Maxwell, they're saying, was even wilder. So that was what was going on. And so the stuff we hear about 15-year-old girls, that's the tip of the iceberg. A lot of the kids at that island where they were doing rituals did not make it off the island. They were a lot younger than 10 years old.
So when you look at something like that, you figure that Epstein, by the force of nature of the entire situation, he had to go away. Like, he has to disappear, right? Then a situation like this, quote, pandemic comes along. You've got to get rid of the guy that holds all the secrets, right? For this thing to truly be successful in regards to the money that can be made from it, the vaccines, the population control, all of these things. The guy who has the video, the guy who has the secrets, he has to disappear. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's it 100%, because he was the pimp. I mean, just like you go to a big party or a hotel, there's a maitre d' that everybody celebrates. Or you're on a yacht or something, and there's the guy managing everybody. Oh, thank you, whoever. He was the manager. So he was very powerful in that he wasn't in the elite, but he was the manager. And that's why the royalty was there and all the rest of it. There's lots of these kind of Renfield types, to use the archetype, who supply Count Dracula with the kids, who supply Count Dracula with the young virgins. And so that's who he was. And exactly, they tried to pin Epstein on Trump. As soon as he got convicted for pedophilia, Trump threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago, is a private club, but it's a bunch of fancy houses around it.
Sure.
And so he threw him out in Palm Beach. When the media tried to pin Trump with it, Trump ordered the secretary that had been the prosecutor, you're fired. And then he said, you get Epstein. They arrested Epstein, and then Epstein conveniently died because Trump was exposing him. Trump didn't fly on the Lolita Express 26 times like Bill Clinton. Trump didn't go to that island. In fact, Roger Stone was with Trump when they were in Palm Beach 20 years ago. They said, we're going to this party. And that was before Trump, figured it out that Trump got rid of him soon after, said, you can't be in my club. Trump rarely kicks people out of his club. He has to give them their money back, all that. Trump gets invited to Epstein's house. There's a pool. And he goes, man, they're really nice to let all the neighbor kids here, but why are they all girls? And Trump was there 30 seconds. He goes, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And that was that. He was done with Epstein at that point because he thought he was invited to Epstein's house. And, Trump's like, what's all these kids doing here? And he's like, whoa, get out of here.
Yeah.
And that's all on record. So they tried to pin Trump with that. So he burned him. So they killed Epstein.
Yeah. And
Trump didn't kill him. The people that wanted to, that's why he said with Ghislaine Maxwell, they said, how do you feel about her in jail? He goes, I wish her well. And the full clip is, I don't want her to die like Epstein. But they're like, oh, he wishes her well. Yeah. Well, they didn't tell you the rest of what he said and what he said previously. And after that is, I don't want her to die like Epstein.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And you know what? And there's still, maybe we're pushing too much of this, but there's still no booking mugshot or anything else of Ghislaine Maxwell, which is weird to me.
No, exactly. They're downplaying it all. They're covering it up because that's the prosecutors. who again, most of them aren't pedophiles. But let me tell you, when you go up against this real mafia that has royalty involved, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be a victim here. I'm not. I expected this, but the harassment I've dealt with and the stuff, and it's not just me. People 100 deep with Trump, people that just buy condos from him. Basically, Trump's bankrupt. I'm not putting him down. He's lost billions, not hundreds of millions. They have harassed all his people. The FBI under Mueller and it went to all his renters at dozens of buildings around the U.S. and the world. They have harassed everybody. They've sued him over 500 times. They have paid people to lie about him. And I mean, I've gotten 1/100th the torture Trump's gotten. Yeah. And just the way he stays balanced in the middle of it makes me admire him. Yeah. And look, folks, you're thinking, well, I better not fight the globalists because they're bullying us. We got here because we bowed down to them. Finally, with Trump like an icebreaker going through the tyranny, man, he's just like full speed ahead running through the ice and breaking the ice for all the rest of us. And that's why I believe in God, because it's not just the devil has power on this earth. Donald Trump, I really believe, is an imperfect vessel, just like I am, just like you are, that God has risen up for this key time.
Yeah, there it is. Alex, I couldn't have asked for a better word from you, man. I appreciate everything you're doing. We're praying for you, and I can tell you I got you back for whatever it's worth, and always will. You're a friend of mine, friend of the show, always welcome here, and I can't wait to see what's on the horizon next for both Alex Jones and InfoWars. Thank you, brother.
Well, it's all of us, brother. Band.video and newswars.com. Please come on my show. And after this airs on your deal, can I play part of it on my show?
100%. Wide open.
All right. Brother. God bless you. Well, thanks, come on my show as soon as you can. I love your work.
Will do. Thanks, Alex. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Man, that rabbit hole just goes deep. You know, Candace, one of the biggest things I want to talk to Alex about, and we'll do that in the days ahead, is what he said. Where does it go in the rabbit hole? I don't know. I want to say, but I bet you got some speculations what the bottom of that rabbit hole looks like. And unfortunately for time constraints, we just didn't have an opportunity. But, man, the connections that are there, and he's not wrong. I just don't think he's wrong. I think it goes far deeper than anything that I or an Alex Jones could say about any of this, because it's all connected. It's all connected. You're seeing that these days. I was sitting there thinking the other day, somebody said, "Oh, things are getting worse." I said, "Things aren't getting worse. They're just getting apparent." That's the difference. Now you just see what's going on. The Wizard of Oz has been exposed. So. That's what's happening, and I encourage you, do a little more research. The stuff that he said look up, go look it up. Don't take it at face value. Go look it up. This is the kind of stuff that gives you ammunition to go out and have these conversations and discussions, because let's face it, we have bowed down to the left for so long in the media mob. Don't anymore. The ammunition is there for you to use. You don't have to do it in a mean-spirited way. Just go out there and win the argument. Take the debate to them. That's all you got to do. Encourage you guys to share this episode, rate and review us where you can, and when you have the opportunity. It helps us a ton. Tomorrow night is Ladies' Night on the Chad Prather Show. Very special guest, Lisa Page of the Lisa Page Made Me Do It podcast, as well as Sarah Gonzalez will be here. And, of course, Hot News Natalie. Party Foul Steve is going to be in hog heaven with so many pretty ladies in the room. So I'm excited to have Lisa Page come on the show. Of course, Lisa's married to our very own Stu Bergier, but that is not a claim to fame. She is a star in her own right, and I can't wait to have her on. She's a bundle of energy, makes coffee nervous, and I love it. So go to watchchad.com, check us out, and don't forget, we're now on Pluto TV on channel 238. I love y'all. God bless you. We will talk to you next time. Keep it crazy, y'all. Bye.